Hi everybody, it's Paula here from Craftables. Thank you for joining me again this week. This is the Heartfelt Creations Hyacinth card that we've done in class this week. So there is a silver background on the card there, done a little bit of paper piecing there, and these really beautiful hyacinth flowers on there as well. Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, if you've purchased the kit, you will have a template in there with the curve of the card there. The Heartfelt Creations do sell these cards already done, so they're a trifold card. So they open this way, and then there's another couple more that open that way out there. So they do have these here, and they fit their dies, their arch dies really, really well. But for today, what we're going to do is we're just going to line up our template just along that spine on there where I've folded my A4 silver cardstock. So I want that right up against the very edge there, and I'm just going to trace around it with my pencil, and then I'm going to carefully cut that out with some scissors. So I've done it, so the spine is there, so it's the fold there, so it's right up against the fold. I'm not going to cut on that fold there, I'm just going to cut right around this bit here. Sorry about the reflection of the cardstock in the video there. So I'm just going to cut around this with my scissors, and you can tell that I'm getting quite a few little fingerprints on there, so I would suggest that you give that a wipe over once you've finished cutting this out. So again, I'm not going to cut down on that spine, I'm just going to go right to that corner there. So then we have our card that's able to open like that. So this is all still attached. Alright, so we've got rid of that piece there. So this is one of the Heartfelt Creation dies as well. What one is this one? Let me just check for you which this one is. This is the Ornate Flourish Gateway. So it comes with a few little dies there. So what these are is this goes up in the top there. So the die is actually this one piece here that come out individually. So this one is called the Flourish Gateway, Ornate Flourish Gateway, and it's a beautiful die to be able to use for any sort of, you know, you could do wedding cards with this. It would look amazing. Alright, so what we're going to do is we are going to glue that one down onto our card to start with, like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue that, and then I'm going to stick it down onto my silver cardstock. Okay, so that's stuck down on the front. Don't worry too much about the glue showing through, especially in these bits here, because we're actually going to cover those three middle pieces up there. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to grab some of my purple cardstock here. This is the Hyacinth paper from the same collection, and I'm going to glue these two, so the top piece and the bottom piece I'm going to glue onto my purple, and then I've also got a bit of the green cardstock that I'm going to glue the middle piece onto. So I'll just go ahead and do that. Alright, so I've cut around the outside of those, so all you can see now is the inner colour and the outside of the frames there. So I'm going to pull my card back in, and I'm just going to go back and glue these back in to those middle pieces there. Alright, so those are all glued back in, so that's the base of our card now. So I'm just going to pop that aside, and I'm going to show you now how to do these hyacinth flowers. So in the hyacinth kit, you get a die and stamp that does this one here, and you also get one that does these little flowers. So they stamp out about 6 little flowers, and then you've got a die that you can put over the top and cut them out. It also has the molding pad thing here, so this is much quicker and easier than doing it by hand. So I'll show you how to use that, and I'll also show you how to do it by hand if you don't have the molding one there. So first of all, I've stamped my image onto just plain white cardstock. I've inked in the inside on the green with the memento green bamboo leaves, and this is the grape jelly memento ink as well. So I've gone and stamped that. I've gone ahead and I have actually stamped and molded all of these here. So I ended up with about 19 of these little flowers, I think. So I think that was, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 groups of them that I've done. So I'm just going to show you how I've coloured these little flowers and how I will mould it with my hands, but I'll show you also what you do with the mould as well. So first of all, I just inked really gently the memento grape jelly. So I've just got my finger dauber and I'm just going to really gently just colour that in with the green, sorry, the purple. I'm getting colours mixed up here. So I'm just going to do that really lightly, so just all around there. And then I'm going to come back in with my Memento Danube Blue. Now I am using a triangle dauber for this one, just because I want to get a little bit of colour into that very centre of the flower there. And I find these, like these edges, these points, are really good for that. So I'm just going to get some ink on there. And I'm just going to use the very tip of one of the corners there. And I'm just going to really lightly and gently just do a little circle of blue in the middle there. So now I'm just going to go around the very tips of each of these petals, just to give it a little bit of a blue tinge on there as well. Now if you're finding that it's all just too light and you don't like the light colour of the purple, then go back in after this and just put a bit more purple on there. So that's how I've coloured my flowers. I have also done a couple of the leaves here. Now these leaves are from the, which one is this from? The open leaf die. So this is another heartfelt one. So the same again, I've stamped it in the memento bamboo leaves, and then I've cut it out with the die that coordinates with it. So I have moulded this one already, but I'll show you how to do this one. So I just went around the very edges with a little bit of a brown ink, just to give it a full, sort of like a autumn look to it. So I'm just going to tip that over backwards, and I'm just going to give it a very light spray with water. So what the water does is it just gives it a bit of wetness on the back, so that the paper can, or the cardstock can mould a lot easier, and it also keeps its shape a lot better afterwards when it's dry as well. So I'm just getting my stylus and I'm just pushing down in the middle of each of my each of my leaves there. Sorry, I'm getting my words mixed up all over today. It's been a long week. Alright, so I'm just going to do the rest all the way around there, and just pushing down in the center of each of the leaves there, so that when you flip it back over you get that nice 3D type of look to it. So I've done that to both of those leaves, so you need 2 of those leaves there. And now I'll show you how to do the moulding of the flower. So I've already done quite a few of them. So if you have the moulding plate, you're just going to put them in, so you colour them in first, put them in upside down, and then you're going to give it a spritz with water, just a light one, and then you're going to pop this back over the top. So I'm just going to push down on that because that'll give me a little bit of a groove there. Now normally this would go through your cutting machine. You would have the 2 smaller plates, so you take all the white plates out and all the other plates. You'd have a B plate on the bottom, this on the top, and then another B plate on the top, and run that through the machine. So when it comes out, they will be nicely curved like that. So that's just happened from me pushing down on it. So if you can imagine how much better it's going to be by going through a machine. So if you don't have the mold, just grab a moulding mat and a stylus, and we're just going to come down into the center of each petal. So just down the center, so from the tip of the petal right down into the middle there. So just to cup them up like that, and that's all you need to do to mold it. Okay, so in order to get it looking a little bit more like a bud there, like we've got there, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to spritz it just a little bit more with water, just a tiny bit. You hardly need any, and on the back as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up into a bud. So I'm going to squeeze it at the bottom so all the petals are at the top. And now I'm just going to very carefully use my thumbnails and my fingers to pull each of the very tip of those petals backwards. So you want to keep it into a bud form, but you're just pulling back those very petal tips there, so you end up looking something like that. So I've gone ahead and done all of these, and these were done with the spritz of water, so they've kept their shape really, really well. So the next step is we want to pop them onto here. So if you can see here, I've left a little bit of the green down the bottom, and I've just followed around that hyacinth shape there. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick all those down now. Okay, so I've stuck all those down there, so you can still see a little bit of the stamped image underneath, but that's fine. There's no problems with that at all. That's why I've coloured it in purple. So there's our little hyacinth bundle there. So we're just going to actually pop this onto that right hand side there. So I'm going to position it where I want it to go, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to then just position where I want my leaves to go underneath. So I want one to go there, and I might have one coming down the side here as well. So that's where I want my leaves to go, so I'll just carefully pull that off, and I'm just going to hold them in place while I do a bit of gluing, so I know exactly where they want to go. So once they're sort of basically glued down a little bit, you can go ahead and put some more glue underneath while they're still stuck there. There we go. So that's where I want my leaves to go. So now I'm just going to carefully turn this over and put glue all around the back here, and that's going to go down on my card next. Oops, one of my petals has come off. There we go. So I'm just going to pop that on there like that. Here we go. So that's the hyacinth on the right hand side there. So I just stamped out just a note with one of my stamps, and I've cut it into a fishtail on the end there, and with my leftover cardstock I'm just going to glue that down onto there, so there's a little bit of a border, colour border around it, and I'm just going to cut around it again just to give it a bit of colour around the outside. If you don't want to be bothered trying to get this all right and in the right place or anything, you can just go around it with an ink and a finger dauber so that it gives it a bit of colour around there as well. So I'm just going to cut the fishtail again. Just make it, it's about 1/8 of an inch wider than my actual stamped image there. There we go. So I'm just going to tuck that under my hyacinth a little bit and just have that sticking out onto the left hand side there. There we go. So that is our card. So it's a pretty quick and easy one, and it's a lot of fun doing those little hyacinths. You can do more if you want to build them up even more. I've also put a little bit of Kindy Glitz in the middle of the flowers. I don't know if you can see it there very well. You could put some prills in there. You could just leave it as it is if you wanted to. And there you have your little hyacinth cards. So I hope you give it a try. The Heartfelt Creations dies and stamps are really, really great value. They last forever, and they are just amazing quality. So you can also buy those on our website at www.craftables.co.nz, and we'd be more than happy to help you out. So thanks for joining me again this week, and I will see you again with another card next week. Bye.